I'm glad you're here. What I found is that most people your age don't know what we do, and we're opening up the city to you in a new way so that you can have that experience. We'll turn the time over to Councilman Casillas in just a minute, but most of this came from her idea. We have a great partnership with the school district. Now I'll turn over some time to Dr. Pablo Sanchez.
Thank you for having us. So we have Centennial in the house. Centennial's right. And we got Corona in the house. Yeah. Thanks for being here, you guys. I understand. I get it. You are almost done with school, at least with the first phase of your schooling. Congratulations as you are finishing up. Today you are in a historic part of our city. So if we can think back from a historical standpoint, when Riverside County first began to have people live here, there was only a handful of high schools in where you could go get your education, right? One of them was throughout the county. Well, this is the original site for the first high school here in Corona High, right? So it was Corona High for a very long time until the mid-'60s or so, in where Corona High School then opened up down the street there off of Lincoln. But otherwise, every resident that graduated from high school graduated from this very site. In fact, this area right here where we're at, would have been the athletics facilities. And you can still see the original building as you tour today. What you're gonna learn today is some pieces that I wish I would have learned. When I went to high school, I didn't know that there was some opportunities and where I could potentially work for the city. I'm a statistic, right? The first generation that goes to college typically ends up in education. So that's me and my sister. Both of us are educators. We're migrants to this country from Costa Rica, and we went to school and we ended up in education. And so what other options are there? Well, today, Dr. Tucker, who is, by the way, I don't know, he didn't brag too much about himself, but this is what he does. He prepares people to be leaders for cities. But what is that all about? Well, that's the question I want you to keep in your head as you move forward today. What is that? What is there a need for leadership in cities? Right? So what happens with all your tax dollars? Every time you buy something, you pay taxes on it. Your parents are paying taxes on things. And you are standing and sitting and you're going to walk through what that means. So keep that in mind today as you learn some good stuff. Maybe some opportunities will come from it. With that said, thank you for being here, you guys. So I'm going to introduce you to our Councilmember Casillas. She is a graduate of Corona Norco Unified School District, former student at Rainey Intermediate, where I used to be the principal at. So please give her a big hand, you guys. Oh, CFIS.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm really happy to see you here today. This is the stuff that really makes me very excited. So I was born and raised here in the city of Corona, but I'm first generation as well. My parents are from Mexico. And my dad and my mom, wound up in Corona on purpose. They wanted to start their family here, but my dad always instilled in us that our job was to go to school, get good grades, and go get a career because he didn't want us to work as hard as he worked. He would say, mija, yo trabajo con la espalda para que tú trabajes con la cabeza. I work with my back so that you can work with your head. So he would work 60-hour weeks, right? And he'd say, and my mom would be at home with the four of us, hand-me-down clothes, let's eat at home, let's take advantage of all of the free things in the city, like the library, school lunch and all that, to try and just get ahead a little bit, right? And they always told me, you're going to school, that's your job, you're going to college, but mija, I can't tell you how you're gonna get there, right? First generation, you don't know how to apply, you don't know what kind of jobs you're gonna have, you can't connect the dots because nobody in your sphere of influence has ever done that. It gets me excited to have you all in this room because I feel like I was in your seat just a few years ago. And I just feel a room full of potential and our next city leaders. So while you guys are going through the city, your city, this is your building. These are your resources. I want you to ask questions. I want you to be curious. I want you to think about, could I be, what seat am I going to take? What office is going to be mine, right? Because I want you to work here. I want Corona talent to stay in Corona. I want you to be the next city manager. I want you to be the next director of public works. So ask questions. Ask them what they do. Ask them what classes they took. Did they go to college? Did they go to a trade school? Did they start as a volunteer? What was easy for them? What was hard for them? Try and find your way to your career path. Because I'm telling you, these are good paying jobs. And I don't want the opportunity to pass you by. Being on your city council is actually a part-time job. And the reality is that the work that gets done in the city is actually done by the staff. I get the privilege of representing the city and speaking on behalf of all of you, but I don't have the privilege every day of providing the services that you see. So when you go to the parks, you go to the library, you see the street, trim, the tree trims, the street paving, all of that, that's done by the Corona team. It's over 750 employees. When I was in your seat, I was really confused about what I was going to study. I didn't know what I was going to go to school for. Being in public policy, being in political science is a good career. It's a good career. But there's other places. There's, our traffic management, which you guys will check out. Rosie, our engineer for the city, she studied engineering. She studied traffic management patterns. And so the lights, the red, green, yellow lights don't turn because they just, they're programmed by somebody who went to school and liked doing that sort of thing, likes to problem solve and get the flow of traffic through the city. I really just want to leave you with this. I am so happy that you're here. I'm looking at a room full of potential. I don't want you to graduate and go somewhere else. If you do go somewhere else to study, come back, work here, live here. We need Corona's talent and potential to come back to City Hall and run the place. I'm looking at you. I'm seeing city managers in this room. I'm seeing traffic engineers in this room. I'm seeing public works directors in this room. And this is a good place to work. It's a good community. It's a really great city. Ask questions, be curious, and if there's ever anything I can do for you, I'm here to be of service. You can find me on Instagram. I spell Jackie, Jacque, Casillas, Casillas. You can DM me, or, there's business cards and stuff around here. So, thank you.
I as well, I echo those comments with Councilmember Casillas that you have a bright future ahead of you. You should take every opportunity that you can to learn and develop friendships and be curious. In a previous one-off version of this, or at least my understanding is that somebody asked a staff member what their salary was. I think that you'd be surprised to know that we pay really well inside the city. You can just look it up. That's another thing. You can look up any of the salaries for any of the staff members on the city's webpage. And if you are really curious about what a city engineer makes or, a chief information officer, you can just go look. So take advantage of today. Once again, be curious. I have a couple of things that I wanted to go through with some slides, but I think we should start with a Kahoot. What do you think? Do you have a smartphone? So you all know Kahoot probably better than I do. It's about speed, right? And answering the question, right? In what year was the city of Corona incorporated? So let me tell you something really interesting about cities. Cities live under the provisions of the state. So like in federalism, we have the federal government. It has its independent powers, which are granted to it by the Constitution. And the states retained all the other powers. Because of that, all those retained powers by the states get to control a lot of stuff. The federal government was delegated powers, and then there's some implied powers, right? But most of us now think about the federal government as really integrated with the states, and that's just not the way it was. With first, the Articles of Confederation gave the confederal government a little bit of power, but because that failed, we have a federal government that has its own power. Cities are all given power by the state, and that can happen two ways. One is through the general law provisions, which is kind of like a template. It says if you want to be a city, you have to follow these rules. But in order to be a city, you have to petition the state to give you that power. The other way to do it is a charter city, where you get to kind of write your own rules, and then those rules have to be revised by the citizens every 10 years or so. Like Riverside's a charter city. When we incorporated in 1896, we became a city, and we gained those powers from the county, which had gotten the powers from the state. So we have a lot of power to do things like land use, but that all happens through incorporation. Just tell you a little bit, one other thing, because I kind of nerd out about this stuff. The most recent cities to incorporate were like Harupa Valley. And when there was a financial decline, they were wondering if they could even pay their own bills, and they might have to disincorporate and become part of the county again. So all the power, I think the point of this is to say all the power that we have in the city is given to us by the state. And that happened because of the way that federalism works. Okay. Corona is called the Circle City because the historic circular Grand Boulevard used to be a racetrack. It is true. Yep. It is not now a racetrack. Just letting you know that. Because the police don't like it when you race around the track, okay? I'm just letting you know. Corona is the former what capital of the world? Orange, mango, lemon, avocado. Oh! Okay, so I have a question. Why would you think it was orange? Somebody a long time ago thought it was a good idea to put an orange on the seal of the city, even though it was known for lemons. So we're going to go through a rebrand. We're going to look at some things like that, like are the things in alignment with what we really believe. I'm not sure that the seal will go away, but I always thought it was weird that we were known for lemons and we had an orange on our seal. About how many people live in Corona? 170, 160, 150, or 10? Oh. So there's a little bit of discrepancy. The official census says we're about 150 something or other, but we know that the census undercounts. So we're going with another estimate, which is about 170,000. And that's, we think, is a more accurate estimate. Okay. About how many people work in Corona? 73,000, 150,000, 140,000, 130,000. Good guess, y'all, right? Having commuted into Orange County for a long time, that drive is not fun. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have more jobs here and people would stay and work here? That's actually part of one of the goals of economic development is to get more people to live here and work here. Okay, next question. Which of the following companies is not a Corona-based company? Fender Guitars, Exide Batteries, Lucas Oil Products, or Monster Energy Drinks? What? Exide Batteries actually is out of Orange County, but so Monster, they actually sell a lot of sweeteners too. Not just caffeinated beverage products, but they have some pretty cool proprietary sweeteners. Lucas Oil Products is known nationally for its oil additives and other sort of racing things. And then Fender Guitars. We have a world-class manufacturing facility in town that builds really high-end guitars. So pretty cool stuff. What does your city not do? Manage and maintain the parks in the city, manage traffic on the 91 and 15 freeways, provide police and fire services, or treat and deliver water to everyone in the city? Yeah, we don't manage anything on the freeways. And interestingly, the freeway off-ramps, even though they're in our city, they're also managed by Caltrans and CHP. So when you work in local government, you have to realize that there are relationships that take place between other local jurisdictions. We have responsibility on maybe one side of the street, but not on the other side of the street. I live in El Cerrito, which is county. We have city water, but we have county trash services, and we have to pay for our own roads. And then we're patrolled by the sheriff's department, but Corona Fire takes care of the fires. So when you're in these weird jurisdictions, the cities have to have good relationships with each other and know who's responsible for what. Our city works really well with the 15 and 91, and we have people who are actively engaged to make sure that the traffic works well. Okay, about how many employees does the city have? 200, 600, 400, or 800? You're going to see some of these employees, and you're going to interact with them. We have the largest group of employees are in community services. A lot of those are part-timers. They run community activities. We have police, fire, engineers. We have all sorts of folks. 800 is a huge amount of employees, just letting you know. All right, we got a couple more. What are the goats doing? Grazing at the Corona Goat Ranch, eating dry brush and clearing the area for fire preservation, checking out the new restaurant in town, or spilling the latest tea. Yeah, they're clearing brush. Have you seen the goats? We live in a wildfire area, high-risk wildfire area, and so we contract with an organization to come bring goats to chew up the brush so it doesn't burn. Pretty cool. A couple more. How long does a city council member serve for? 1 year, 4 years, 6 years, 12 years. All right, that's right, 4 years. A couple of years ago, we switched to district elections, so 3 members are up for election this year, and then 2 years later, the other 2 members will be up for election. So it rotates, so there's some stability. Not all of them are reelected at the same time. It depends on which district you live in, but they serve for 4 years. Let's go. How long does the mayor serve for? 10. 1 year, 4 years, 2 years, or 6 years. Another great picture. I know, you're all shocked, huh? It's not 10. So in most cities, about 85% of California cities, they used to have 5-member councils, and then they would rotate. So the mayor is elected by members of council. They're selected by members of council to rotate through. So last year, Councilmember Casillas was mayor. This year, Councilmember Speak is mayor, and then presumably next year, Councilmember Daddario will be mayor. And they don't have significant roles and responsibilities that are any different than members of council, but they get to sign all sorts of letters and do other work and be at business openings. Who runs the city's day-to-day operations? The mayor, the city manager, the city council, or this guy, whoever is dragging us through the dirt on social media. In our system, like most cities in California, and a lot of cities across the US, in order to provide stability for the city, the council members hire a professional manager who has training in management, who can run the affairs of the city. And the council members will swap out through elections over time, but to keep the stability of the city, we have a city manager. Okay. Number 3, BBs. Come on up and get a prize. Clarissa, number 2. And Sam, congratulations. Come on up here. So today I want you to think about you and your careers and potential opportunities and the services that you might want or need, but also through your avatar, the little person that we generated for you, randomly assigned to look like somebody in the city. Think about what they might be interested in. If your household has 6 people in it, you might be interested in kids programs. Or you might be interested in like where you're located. If you're located right next to Walmart, chances are your crime is gonna be a little bit higher. So go really quickly through a couple things. This is the new map of the city of Corona. We just adopted new districts. You live in one of those districts, yeah? Which means that you'll be represented by 1 member of council. I'll show you the pictures in a minute. The city council is the governing body. They make policies for the city. They make decisions about where we're gonna put no parking zones. They make decisions about how much money we're gonna spend on programs. They're gonna make decisions about all sorts of things. They approve our budget, and then the manager goes and implements their direction. All of these are elected by districts. We just got to hear from Councilmember Casillas. As a member of council, you also serve as the city's representative on other governing boards like Western Riverside Council of Governments. She serves as the city's representative to that body. Vice Mayor Tony Daddario, he's in District 2. He's appointed to the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority. We have a huge open space preserve in the county that hosts some endangered species, but is also designed to prevent a lot of houses going everywhere. District 3 is Councilmember Richens. He's on the Riverside County Habitat Conservation Agency, a similar agency. If you come to City Council, you might hear about the Endangered Species of the Month. He likes to report back on that and then laugh a lot. Councilmember Steiner was elected in 2018. He's on RCHCA, I think. Really, really chill fellow who comes in and gives lots of good advice. But also he's been a champion for homelessness. Part of the reason we have such good programs is because of him and some other members of the community who are working really hard to prevent homelessness. And then we have Mayor Wes Speak. He's on the RCTC, Riverside County Transportation Commission. He's really interested in traffic. His term is mayor this go-round, and he'll speak to us at the end of the day. Just basic overview of how cities work. If you're in one of these districts, you elect a member of council, then they act as a governing body. And they can't tell a specific department head to do anything. What they do is they make policies, all 5 of them, by vote, how to give direction to the city. And they have 2 employees. They hire a city manager and they hire a city attorney. And the city attorney has a small staff, and then the city manager hires the rest of the staff. So the city manager is like the CEO of a corporation. They're essentially in charge of operating the entire city. And then they also give operational direction, like where we're gonna pave which streets in which order, any human resource concerns like that. They're the chief operating officer. Then the city staff provides services to you all. So it's this big cycle. And then you in turn elect these people to represent you. The city's structured this way. The residents elect a city treasurer too. They basically oversee the finances of the city, pretty hands-off position. And then the city council hires a city manager and a city attorney. The city manager, in their office, they also deal with homelessness solutions. They have some administrative support. We have an assistant city manager who's over 5 of these divisions: planning and development, clerk's office, public works, utilities, community services. And then city manager oversees these other groups: finance, police, fire, human resources, information technology, communications, and economic development. The better way to do this is say, what do city departments do? Like we talked about, you get water. We make sure it's clean, that you can drink it. It's not gonna make you sick. You have to pay us for that, but there's rules that say how much we can charge. Well, and then when you're done with the water, we take care of that too. So from the start, when you get clean water, until after you've made it dirty, we have to clean it back up. So we've got a whole processing facility over here that cleans up your leftovers. We clean it up and we pump it back into the system. Sometimes we reuse it. And if you see purple pipe, that's reclaimed water. It's already been through somebody's system at least once. And we also run the electricity for the city. We have our own utility department that does electricity. So when you're plugging in your iPhone at night, you're like, oh yeah, thanks, City of Corona. Well, we buy that electricity from SoCal Edison and some other places, but we do electricity. Oh, and the trash, we do that too. And the recycling. Well, we actually hire somebody to do that for us. Some cities are all contract cities and we just hire contractors to do all that work. We hire Waste Management to do that for us. We have a contract with them. Well, somebody noted this earlier, that we have a plan for the city so we can know where residential buildings should be, like homes or apartment complexes, but also where manufacturing and industrial facilities can be, where we have parks and open spaces. We have an entire planning department that maps every single one of those parcels, every one of those places, and tells it what it should be under a general plan, and then we have specific plans. And right now we're working on the downtown plan about how we should allocate housing, where we should put more restaurants or other businesses. There's a whole planning department that does that. So part of that is that we have to evaluate every developer's plan. This is the Smart and Final building at Ontario and Fullerton. When that parcel was developed, they had to tell us the size of the building, where they were going to put trees, what other building uses were going to be there, and those had to be approved too. So we go through all that. So that's before it's even approved. And then when it goes out for construction, we go out and inspect that as well. So as contractors are following these plans, we have plan checks, and then we have building inspections who go in to make sure that it's built properly. Nobody really cares about that, right? Like, well, no. If it's not built properly, then we can't really assume that the house is going to stay or the building is going to be structurally stable. And then we get rules from the state about how strong the shear walls have to be and how many, all these other things for earthquakes. We have to make sure that they're in compliance with those. And because we build things like, we approve buildings and those are developed, we also need roads. Well, we have a roads department. And so we do some paving and we hire some other people to do paving for us. My very first job for a city was working on a road crew, and we did paving. We cleaned up roadkill. We did all sorts of fun stuff. It was a great job for an 18-year-old who got to spray tar everywhere. I mean, that was super fun. And then because we pave over dirt, the dirt can't absorb the water, so we have to deal with all the runoff water too. So we have to design where the runoff water is going to go and how that gets cleaned up, how big those openings are, and then how we're going to treat that water. We have to design all the stormwater systems. And then because we have buildings and roads, we've got to then deal with traffic. So we have a traffic management center. The traffic management center coordinates the street lights, the sequence in which they're operating. They go inspect all those facilities, all those like rings in the ground where your car drives over it, it triggers the light. But then when we have big special events like 4th of July and everybody's at Santana Park, traffic management's here and they are turning the green lights every way away from Santana Park so everybody can get out of the city fast. We have cameras on a lot of roads to monitor how the traffic's behaving, but also in case of an accident, sometimes we can pull up the videos of those accidents for police reports or for insurance. And because we have like pretty complex system for that, we need an IT department. So the IT department runs all the networks, but then also all of the cell phones, tablets, all the fire equipment and police equipment that's got to talk to each other. It runs all the back end of all the planning department and the GIS systems, so we can see kind of like where all these pieces are. And we're doing a lot of really good things. So we have a whole communications team. They tell the story of the city. They also tell the story of there's going to be a big road closure over kind of between us and Norco on the river. So they put out public bulletins. So we put out social media posts and we do web pages and we do all sorts of other public information. We want people to come and work here and live here. We have a whole team that tries to recruit businesses to come. These are 2 flyers. Park at home, not on the 91 was one of their campaigns. Live, work, Corona. So the whole economic development team that tries to draw businesses here, that helps recruit businesses. So if you wanted to work with that, you could do that. Like I was on the phone with a major retailer last week about whether or not they were going to relocate into the city of Corona. I'm not on that team, but I was working with them. It's really cool to think about, like, okay, just briefly, what do we lack in Corona? What would you like to see more of? Bike lanes? Okay, planning and development. What about in terms of businesses? Restaurants. Everybody says restaurants and shopping, right? Like, you want them all. So the economic development team works with people to try and bring restaurants here and to encourage that. They have a whole program called Emprendedores to get a lot of the Spanish-speaking people to start their own businesses and locate them here. One of those guys, his name is Guido Totoro. He came from Argentina a long time ago. His wife does something else. He makes empanadas, but he makes really, really good empanadas, but he didn't know how to sell them. So he went through this program with economic development so that they can help him design a business plan so that he can think about how he could build an actual restaurant in town. And he's working towards that. So that came from us as a city working to try and help them. And because we want people to live here, we can't just say, well, we've got lots of businesses. We make life better. And that's the California Parks and Recreation Society's motto. It says, park, make life better. So we have a whole team that works on tennis lessons, yoga, Krav Maga, or whatever it is that you want to do. There's this whole flyer that comes out. That's through community services. We rebuild parks. We have a library. We have tons of that stuff. This is all where those 800 people come from, like what they work on in the city. Then, of course, you got to keep things safe. So we have police officers. The traffic guy over there. The one on the right is a social worker. Social worker working with police officers? Yeah, that fellow works with all the homeless outreach. So when people say, did you know that there's a homeless person in Corona? Our homeless solutions manager, Karen Roper, will be like, well, what's their name? I probably know them. Because we have a HOPE team that goes out and works with homeless folks. And when they're ready for help, because sometimes they aren't ready for help, we bring them in and help them with services. We give them motel vouchers. We can help hook them up with other resources. So when people are like, well, I saw this homeless guy, we probably know their name, because we have a social worker working with the police department going out to try and bridge those relationships. And then sometimes we have emergencies, right? Like fires. So we have fire department. That's pretty awesome. They've got pretty nice trucks. And all of this stuff costs a lot of money. So we have a team that manages the money too. The finance department, you'll hear from them. They'll talk a little bit about where we get our money from and how we spend that money, and there are rules about that, but it does take a lot of money. And the second thing is part of why you're here. It takes a lot of people. This doesn't happen without people. People run the city, right? So those 800 people fill all sorts of different roles, and hopefully you'll think about maybe coming to the city for one of those things too. Even if you're not thinking about a career in the city, maybe you'll want to come and get some services from us or see how we can be helpful to you. I'm just going to go really quickly. Every quarter, we report out on all the things the city's doing. We give an operational performance update. So you can look at all these things. The power's on about 99.96% of the time. We inspected 65,000 linear feet of sewer inspected with a camera, and we cleaned 80,000 feet of sewers just in the last 3 months. We treated 2.5 billion gallons of water. We're in 100% compliance. Let's see, what the fun one is this. People say, well, somebody's left a abandoned car in my neighborhood. Well, we send people out, or maybe they're not watering their grass. We had 373 cases opened this last 3 months. That's 100 a month. That's like 3 a day. Let's see, we inspected 3,500 buildings. We swept almost 7,000 miles of streets with a street sweeper in 3 months. You might care about this. Our social media team made 6.5 million social media impressions over the last 3 months. And that was 666,000 website visits, 317,000 social media engagements. You know what an engagement is? Someone likes it. It's not just seeing it, right? They liked it, they commented on it, they did something. There are 235,000 emails that were opened and 270,000 video views. If you haven't seen like the state of the city, there's a great video that just came out from us a couple days ago called Ask the Arborist. We hire an arborist in the city to maintain all of our trees. We count all of our trees. We know where they're all at so that they're healthy. That Ask the Arborist video is really, really cool. So you're like, well, I'm not really interested in the city because I want to do video production or something like that. Well, there's probably a job for you. We recruited 319 new businesses. We retained 1,200 or almost 1,200 new businesses. We had lots of people participate in economic development activities trying to rejuvenate the city. We planted 777 trees in the last 3 months. We trimmed 8,000 trees. We have 120,000 registered library users, 33,000 recreation activity participants, just tons of stuff that we're doing. You'll see all these people today. Police, there were 22,000 calls for service. They responded on an average of 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Fire, 3,700 calls for service, and they responded 75% in less than 6 minutes. So just think about like all these things that are going on that you just don't probably see all the time. Well, we do. And then don't forget the goats, right? 10 acres of land cleared. We had 64 new hires. We promoted 44 people left. We processed 6,500 invoices for services. We're talking about billing and paying things. Gosh, there's so much stuff. Check this one out. 1.3 million cyber attacks that were deflected against the city in 3 months. Those people, so we were talking to IT about it, Iran, China, like they are trying to attack our infrastructure so that we, can't provide good electricity service for you or clean water or clean up your waste. State and non-state actors are trying to get into our systems all the time. We just count it. Today, you're gonna experience City Hall. The schedule of the day is you're gonna go through some rotations. Denzel, Donna, and Denise, they're gonna walk you through these different rotations. We're gonna go to upstairs to the council boardroom, talk about finance. We're gonna go to Traffic Management Center and GIS and IT. Then they're gonna walk you back down here to the multi-purpose room, which is back behind us. And you'll go have lunch out on the lawn. On the lawn, there will people from community services will be set up, police, fire, utilities, and public works. And they brought trucks and all sorts of equipment. So they brought their cool toys out. So after that, we'll come back in about 12:45. We'll come back in here and we'll hear from some more people, okay?
Please feel free to ask questions, not just of me, but any of our staff that are working. Everybody, I'm sure, will be happy to answer and tell you a little bit more about what they do.
We had a question. We were just wondering what you do here.
I lead legislative advocacy, so working with the federal and state government.
House utilities. I'm trying to think actually.
If you have an issue going on in your neighborhood that you want to bring to the city council's attention, you can come to a city council meeting and speak directly to the full city council to talk about any concerns that you have.
The biggest thing about GIS is telling stories. And GIS can be even used for not even mapping this planet.
We're going to Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and continue talking. There's a computer, there are maps. Why not just look it up on a map? That's what this organization tells you, and that could be important for a skylighter or something. It's huge. It tells you what that won't make sense to you, but the important one is slow down. Find out all the information about things around. One of my favorite little things that are, but also if you don't have the ability to go to learn more about GIS, yes, especially if you're going to college, especially if you're not in GIS. We already took the survey. Santa Monica.
This is just more for a surveillance type of feed. I would see how traffic is flowing, and if I need to, I could change the light.
But the newer technology allows us to actually do more than just detect cars. They can see, hey, that guy took. Most of the times we get a lot more questions from the adults who drive.
I do know.
Well, I'll give you a little overview. We have 6 values. Is to create a community.
That's their actual budget to date.
And that's basically what the city is doing. Do any of you have a part-time job? You do? Awesome. So we'll say this is your part-time job.
You have to start now. Are you in student government in your school?
No.
We're still winning!
Give me a little wave there, thank you.
Let me find out.
I got a little motorcycle one.
Got that nice protein shaker, bro. Let's go. So they sneak away or anything like that. It's like a fire. Basically, you want to take
The car's like on its wheels,
bring it
and
around,
it's stable.
all the way.
You put this under the car first.
Basically everything from your house, your sprinkler runoff, showers, your sinks, everything that leaves your house. This water right here, after about 40 minutes, the water on top looks like that.
So welcome back, y'all. We're going to turn over the time to Kelsey Kentz, who's in Human Resources. She's going to talk about careers in public service.
Hello. Are you ready to learn about careers in public sector? What is public service? Public service is just that, serving the public, giving back to the community Public service work ensures our society functions smoothly, from our life safety services, which would be like our police and our fire, to our men and women who make sure that we have drinking water that is safe to drink if we wanted to when we turn on that tap, to the employees who put on various kid camps, run our libraries, etc. What type of careers are available in public service? We offer a lot. So we have numerous departments and various positions throughout each department. And we'll do a brief rundown of what type of jobs are available in each department, which you guys may have already kind of gone over throughout your tour today, right? But we'll give you a little bit more info. So for our public safety, that is our firefighters and our police officers. In community services, those folks are the ones that run our recreation programs. So all of our after-school programs for kids, our different summer camps, etc. They are also responsible for our parks and keeping our parks as a nice and safe place for all of us to attend or to play at. They're responsible for our library and our community facilities. In utilities, we have a lot of different career tracks in our utilities division. And these are the folks that make sure that when we flip on our switch, the lights come on. And also, like I had mentioned before, that we have clean water to drink. So they're taking water that would not be safe for us to drink or wash our hands with or shower with or anything like that. And they're making it so that we could actually grab a glass of water and drink it, and it would be safe and not toxic for us. In our public works department, those are the folks that make sure that our streets are safe and that our traffic flows throughout the city with stop signs and our traffic signals. Our planning and development department, they make sure that all new buildings are safe for the community. And then human resources, where I am from, we are responsible for making sure that we have qualified people to perform all the functions throughout the city. So through each department, we make sure that we're hiring qualified people that would be best fit to serve the city. We are also responsible for making sure our employees are not only productive at work, but that they're happy coming to work, right? Because a major part of public service is customer service. And so how are you going to provide good customer service if you're not happy coming to work, right? Our finance department is responsible for budgeting, which ensures the city is spending its funds wisely. They're also responsible for paying the city's bills and all of the employees of the city. We have a legal and a risk management division here at the city. As a public entity, we are responsible for following a lot of laws. And so our legal and our risk management team make sure that the city is following all of the laws that it should be. And so if you're interested in law, that would be a great department to get a good start in. And then finally, our city manager's office. So our city manager is hired by our city council, and he or she runs the day-to-day operations of the city, overseeing each of the departments within the city. So they make sure that there is a plan or direction for the future of the city, and they work closely with council on that plan, and then they make sure that the departments are following that plan. So we have a lot of different positions within the city, a lot of different departments, some really great opportunities for folks that would be interested in starting a career in public sector. Why is public sector work the best? So the top 3 reasons to work in public sector: being part of a bigger goal or purpose. The work that you do individually throughout all of the departments that we have has the ability to impact the entire community in a positive way. So that's pretty cool, right? Our positions help others and give back. So our goal is to make others' lives better. And we offer many career paths with stability. So with many careers to choose from, there is literally something for everybody in the city, right? We have direct career paths with stability, and it's a place to really learn and be encouraged and to grow in your career. I really liked this quote, so I included it. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And now we have some staff testimonials. So we have Megan Samano from our police department. She's going to come up and tell you a little bit about herself and her career in the public sector.
So just to give you guys a little idea, I'm a lieutenant with the Corona Police Department. I've been with them for about 25 years. I currently work Sunday through Wednesday, 2 p.m. to midnight. And my primary goal is to mitigate the risk and liability that the police officers have. So when there's a major incident within the city and I'm working, I got to take control of it, make sure we're doing everything right. I started off shortly after I graduated from high school, and I did graduate from Centennial High School here in Corona a long time ago. And then I was hired as a police cadet, and that's a part-time position within the city, within the police department. I got to learn the inner workings of the police department. And I was fortunate, when I was old enough, they hired me, put me through the police academy, so I got paid to go to the police academy. I got my benefits, all that stuff. I didn't have to pay for the police academy, the city did. Once I graduated from that, I had our training, which is about 6 months. After that, I was off probation, and I worked patrol for a couple of years. After that, I was a school resource officer. So I was at Centennial for 2 years, and then Corona Fundamental for a year. I then went into traffic. I love traffic. I was one of the reconstructionists, so when we have fatals, major injuries, I was the one that went out and investigated it. I did that for 10 years. I was really comfortable. I had a lot of fun doing it, but then I felt that I was stagnant. I was stale. I wasn't going anywhere. So I tested for detective. I did well, and I was promoted to a detective, and I did property crimes. So frauds, forgeries, commercial burglaries, that's what I did for 2 years. And at the urging of family, some supervisors, I tested for sergeant, and I made it. And I worked patrol, graveyard. And let me tell you get older, it's harder to work those nights. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was selected as our internal affairs sergeant. So I did investigations on our old people for wrongdoing. That was difficult, not that doing the investigation, but there was people that did stuff wrong that I didn't want them working for us. That makes sense. I don't want us doing anything wrong. We work for the city, we work for the community. I want us to represent the community as best as we can. So I did that, and I promoted out of there to lieutenant. So I've been a lieutenant almost a year. Currently, like I said, in patrol, but I'm in charge of our jail. So any issues that come out of our jail, making sure staffing's good. Our CSOs, which I think some of you guys met them out there, they were giving away the little pins, the ducks. I'm in charge of our Zone 2 area, which is McKinley area. So I'm responsible for making sure that we reduce as much crime as we can over there. The mounted team, horses, we do have a mounted team. There's probably like 6 or 7 other things that I am in charge of. I love my job. I love coming to work every day. It's different every day. It's experience every day. I have bad days, good days, just like everybody else. But I truly love this city and working for the city.
Thank you, Megan. Next up, we have Denzel Maxwell. He is in our city manager's office.
I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, born and raised. Graduated from Booker T. Washington High School in 2008. Sound a little old compared to y'all. From there, I went on to go to Oklahoma State University. I was one of the first in my family to graduate from college. And while there, and I say this because I know that if you all decide that you want to go to college, that you have your certain degrees that you pick out first, and it may change. It's okay to change. When I first went to college, I was a chemistry major because I wanted to be a pharmacist, and then finished my first calc class, Calc 1, and all I needed was Calc 1, and they said, all right, great, you got to go Calc 2 and Calc 3 after this if you want to finish and get this chemistry degree. So next day, I was in my advisor's office picking a new degree that didn't have to go through Calc 2 and Calc 3 and thermodynamics and all the other things I didn't need for pharmacy. But then also I shadowed a pharmacist and decided that I cannot sit in the box all day. So ended up changing my degree, but I wanted to keep my credits. So I actually have a Bachelor of Science in Economics. Graduated from Oklahoma State and then went on to work in retail management. So worked at Super Target as a team leader over the grocery side, food production. So I'm actually a certified barista because if you're a manager of the food side at Target, then Starbucks makes you go through all the training. So fun fact, if you ever work at a Starbucks, they make you try every single thing, and if you don't like it. I want to say, because I worked through college in retail management, and then after graduated, did retail management because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But it was a good field while I was working in it, but decided to make a change. So ended up moving to Lubbock, Texas, if you're familiar with West Texas, and went to Texas Tech University to get my master's in public administration. And so while there had great opportunities, I got a chance to intern on Capitol Hill for a summer, and then also had an opportunity to intern for a federal agency. So I got a chance to kind of see different levels of government and kind of see which one I kind of wanted to stay in or work in afterwards, and it always can change too. So graduated from Texas Tech University, and went on to work for a suburb in the Houston area. And so I was in the city manager's office there, working in strategic initiatives, and worked with council, different type of projects on the management team for, I think we talked a little bit about this earlier, about planning of the city. So I was on the management team for our Parks and Recreation Open Spaces Master Plan to really see where we wanted the city to go in 10 to 15 years. So worked there, and then I went on to work in the city manager's office as executive management assistant at City of San Antonio. So I've gotten to work for large cities, small cities. I consider this a medium-sized city. So I went from 1.6 million working in San Antonio to, I think it was 170,000 here. Decided I was ready for the next level, so I started looking for my next level job and wanted to look towards working as an assistant to the city manager. So that's what led me to California. So I've been here for about 1 year and 8 months now, living in California. So it's been a fun time. In 30 years, I've lived in a lot of places. And so I encourage you, if you like to travel and live, please do that as well. So some things that I do here. So Justin mentioned earlier, there's a city manager's office, there's a city manager, assistant city manager, and then there's 3 assistant to the city managers. There's me, there's Donna in the back, wave, Donna. And then Justin that put all this on for you all. And so we all work for the city manager and assistant city manager. We get a list of projects. At various times we can have up to 30 projects we're working on. And not necessarily saying we're doing it daily with those projects, but we have quarter reports, quarterly things that we want to make sure we do. And one thing I do love about working as an assistant to, but also working in the city manager's office, that I'm able to work with various departments. I think maybe half the people in here actually have a project going with. I'm working on a project with Caleb, working with a project with Kelsey, constantly working with the mayor, with our legislative affairs. And so it's just a great opportunity just to see all the different aspects of what goes on with the city. And some of the things I do is just working with the legislative affairs advocacy program for the city, as well as working with various groups. Right now, we're working with the veterans, various veterans groups throughout the city, because we want to update our veterans memorial, so being able to do public engagement, and then a lot of internal things of working whatever the day-to-day tasks that the city manager is like, hey, I need your help on this, or I want you to do this, and we'll add it to our plate. So I really have enjoyed working in public service. When I made the shift, it was because I wanted to work more for the people. I wanted to serve. So it was a way for me to make the transition and to be able to do that. And so, there's a lot of things that go on in the city that, there's a lot of behind the scene work that happen. And one thing I want to end on, and we're going to show you a video we put together for a Black History Month campaign. So this year we had our first Black History Month campaign, and I got the opportunity to lead it. And so you have different projects you can do. Like I said, we do various projects, but one thing about the city is that we all work together. And so while I was the face of it, I always made sure to let people know that it takes a village. And with the city, you're gonna find that it takes a lot of different departments and a lot of people working together to make it happen. The video that I'm gonna show you was the works of the communications team, putting all the film together. It was community services assisting me with helping me to who I could reach out to be able to be a part of it, as well as just various departments to help us to be able to shape a full campaign where we were able to highlight a local business, we were able to highlight leaders in the community, and then ultimately have a program, an event that brought together the community to start just to have that conversation and to uplift Black voices. And the great thing is that it won't stop there. The goal, part of our strategic plan and strategic initiatives, is to ensure that we are highlighting Corona's rich cultural heritage. And so you'll see more of these things going on throughout the year, and each year we'll build upon that and do more. So I just want to say thank you all for coming here and listening to me. And then, of course, we'll do the video, and then Kelsey will come back up.
It was important for me to make sure I got in that system, right? A system that kind of dictates a person's future, right? When you're in high school, you're trying to figure out who you're going to be when life starts. Been a police officer for 3 years, business owner for 13, because I started my business when I was 19. I was the CEO. I help with the Lila Project as well, dealing with the at-risk youth. Some of the kids that we actually deal with for the Lila Project go to my high school that I'm a school resource officer at. Come to realize that it's about being authentic with these kids and letting them have a platform to have a voice.
I think representation matters. It's important for Corona and other cities like Corona, especially in the Inland Empire, to have guys like myself or guys like Z or women, black or brown, to have a seat at the table. I think it's important. I think it creates a healthy dialogue, transparency, accountability. I started the Leader Project 5 years ago. This is our 5-year anniversary. Leader Project was started it was kind of a double-edged sword. We started to bring people from all different backgrounds together just for service. Like, the common goal was to bring people together that cared about other people. And we really wanted to seek those people that were trying to find themselves and help them lose themselves in the service of others. Our focus is young men, under-promised, underrepresented young men.
I am happy to join.
Black History Month is extremely important. It is a time to celebrate Black leadership, everyone who's sacrificed in the Black community throughout history. It's important to pay homage to those people. And it's important that our sons and daughters, no matter what color they are, understand the importance of each person and their impact on history. The Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X, the Rosa Parks, Jackie Robinsons, all those people. It's important that we know those stories and we tell those stories.
People like Nelson Mandela, that's always important, right? Those are those people who took that step, that leap of faith. And whether their voice was going to be heard or not, they were going to make sure it was heard, regardless of the consequence. However, in this day and age, we wouldn't have to get there if people felt like they had a platform to be able to speak and that their voice was important. So for Black History Month, it's celebrating those who were ahead of us, who made that ultimate sacrifice for not conforming to what the normal was at that time. So it is important that we constantly acknowledge those ahead of us and that we're showing every year that we're progressing towards equality.
Okay, so I just have one slide left for you guys, and then I'll open it up for some questions. So why work for the city of Corona? The first thing would be we have a lot of entry-level positions that just require a high school diploma or GED and minimal experience all over the city. We have numerous entry-level type positions. One of the cool things about our city is we offer a tuition reimbursement program. So if you attend job-related educational courses, so if you go to college and you're getting a degree in the department that you're working for in something that's a related field, the city will pay for that tuition reimbursement up to a certain amount, right? So that can help a lot with college being so expensive. The city is willing to give back to employees to help develop and grow. We have great benefits here. The city pays the full cost of health insurance for employees and their family members with the option of a dental and vision insurance plan as well. And then my favorite part is we work the 4-10 schedule, which means we work Monday through Thursday, and we have 3-day weekends every single weekend, which is a great perk and another way that the city of Corona lets its employees know that, a work-life balance is important, right? Come to work hard, but then you should also be spending time with your family as well at home.
Thank you, Kelsey. I appreciate that. We're glad that the mayor, Westbeek, is here with us. He's going to share some of his thoughts, and then we'll wrap up the session. We'll get you back to your last week of school, right? How exciting. Congratulations.
Wow. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I hear that traffic was a big hit, right? It's my favorite room in the building too. I'm obsessed with it. Whenever I'm on the second floor, I always want to stop in and see what the heck's going on. The two gentlemen that you saw up there, Dominic Ferretti and Zachariah, they're both Centennial high school graduates. And not to leave out the Panthers in the room, a class of 1986, Corona High. There are two of us on the council right now that are both Corona High graduates. I think we'll probably see a Centennial graduate here pretty soon. I didn't know quite what I was going to talk about today, but just seeing the list of opportunities you have for folks that are graduating, whether you're going to be in college or whether you're not going to go to college, there's lots of opportunity here at the city. The city's a great place to work. I want to give you a little bit. I think when I first got on the city council, I always want to remind people the mayor doesn't run the city. City council is five members elected from different parts of the city, and we have 2 employees. That's our city manager and the city attorney. So we set policy, and the staff executes that policy, with the city manager being basically in charge of all the departments in the city. So when, if someone says, well, boy, you can speed, or you can, do whatever and you can get out of it, that's not true. I've gotten pulled over before. So there's not no get out of jail free cards being on the council. It is a lot of fun. I think going back to one of Kelsey's slides about serving others, people ask me, why do I do this? It's not my full-time job. In my day job, I'm an environmental consultant. I do surveys for endangered species, write environmental impact reports. I have a group of archaeologists that work for me. As being being on the council and serving as mayor this year, one of the most important things I think I see, and what I get the most joy out of is getting things done in the city and serving others, serving my community that I grew up in. I was dragged here kicking and screaming from Garden Grove when I was 12. I was not a happy camper. I don't think I talked to my dad for about a month. Very upset that I lost left my friends behind, but I've been here ever since. I've been here for 42 years. And I don't see myself leaving, because I do love the community. I think between the history that we have here, being founded in 1886, some of the things that we've gone through, good and bad, getting to this point today, I think we're in a fantastic position with the city growing. We're about, I think, did they tell you how many employees we have in the city? 800, right? I mean, that's a big company. That's a multi, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of budget. It's a very, in fact, I always tell people it's a company that has 9 different missions, which is not, something that you see. So it's fun to watch, being an operations guy, but not being able to use my operations side, being more policy driven. It's very interesting to watch, professionals kind of do their job and monitor where we're going, and meanwhile having that contact back with residents and folks that directly elected us, and hearing from you. So seeing all your faces here, I always tell people I want to hear from you. I know my colleagues want to hear from you. Cell phones, emails. If you see us, all of us have in fact, in the back of the room is all of our business cards, and they have our cell phones on, and I will guarantee that almost all of us will answer the phone the first time you call. So if you have a question, you have a concern, you see something you don't like, you don't understand how it works, pick up the phone, send an email, we'll respond. So everybody here has a cell phone, right? So you walk around, you see graffiti, or you see, a pothole or something that doesn't look right. There's an app called See-Click Fix. You literally take a picture of it, you describe it, you push the button, it gets forwarded over to some magic. Actually, I think it's Denzel and a bunch of other folks that process those. It gets put to the right department, and those things are fixed. That person that fixed it will get back with you and tell you it's done. And it's amazing to see, especially things that you see in your own neighborhood. If you don't like the way that there's some graffiti in the back of a sign or at a park, or you think that there's something that's broken and you like it better because you want to preserve your own community. You want to look around and see good things, nice things, and have things taken care of. That's a way to do it. And then the other side of that is, I think you saw with the community services folks outside, volunteering. There's so many volunteer opportunities, and that's one thing this city is not short of, is folks who want to help. And it fills you up inside. You can do things for money, you can do things for your friends, but to do something for somebody you don't know, it fills your heart in a different place. And I recommend trying to find, every single one of you, trying to find that spot in your heart and in your mind where you can serve someone else that you don't know, do something nice for someone you don't know, and it will carry you, forever. Well, thank you all for coming. I think Justin has a couple of words to end with, but if you have any questions or anything else. Before I ran, my normal day job, I supervise a couple hundred people in 3 states. I don't own the company. I think in years past, there was a lot of people that owned their own businesses that could do this job. I probably spend about 20 hours a week or so, at least, doing this job, kind of in between. I do it at night, on the weekends. It's something I get a real joy out of. Finding that mix and understanding boss has been key. And I'm in a position in my career now that I can take some personal time off. I can take, instead of vacation, me going, somewhere, I'm here at a meeting. We had an all-day budget meeting, and I took a vacation day. So that's kind of it. You're serving, you're giving back. I don't see it as me giving up my free time. I see myself as giving to the city. So I think on the flip side of that question is people say, well, you know, why don't you just quit your other job and do this full time? But it only pays $800 a month. So I can't live here in Corona on $800 a month, but it's a challenge. But I can tell you that it's probably one of the best things I've done. I've coached football, youth football for 15 years. I coached baseball. I did Boy Scouts. I did all those things, but this has been the most fulfilling job. How did I get inspired to run for office? It wasn't something that was in my mind at all. I'd never, even though growing up, the mayor lived across the street from me. And I think, like I said, I got here when I was 12. I think he served for about 8 years. And I didn't quite know what he did. I know he owned a business, but he, about once a week or twice a week, a police officer would pull up with boxes full of paper and maps and give it to him. And I didn't quite understand. And one day I caught him outside and said, well, why are the cops here all the time? And he said, well, I'm on the city council, I'm the mayor, and I have, work to do and to go back and listen. And I said, wow, that doesn't seem very fun. Like, you don't get paid a lot and you just have homework? You have a bunch of homework? That sounds terrible. But fast forward, after my kids were grown, the city went to districts where you could get elected, and about 40,000 folks in each district. And a lot of folks people that were on the council weren't going to run again. And I talked to a lot of my friends, folks that were interested in kind of where the city was going and what it would do. And in my day job, I do work with elected officials sometimes, but I never saw myself doing it. I just said, what's the next phase in my life to serve other people? And it was asked by a few people to think about doing it, and decided to do it. So the mayor is a rotating position. So I'm the mayor for this year, and I will cycle out, and our vice mayor, Tony Dodario, will be mayor in December. And we typically take turns. It's not a prescribed deal. We basically talk amongst each other and decide who's going to be the mayor for the year. But we all have equal power. The only difference, the mayor gets to talk at things like this, which is awesome. You have to sign a lot of papers. I sign my name on everything. I don't think I've ever signed my name so much in the last 5 months. And you get to run the meetings. But that's it. There's no other perks to it. You don't get another, a cool parking space or a car or anything. It's just another opportunity to serve. Well, let's see. My education, took a little bit of a weird turn. So I graduated from Corona High, went to RCC, did my first year at RCC, was going to start chiropractor college the next year, but my father passed away, was killed in a car accident, and my mom couldn't take care of all of us. So I quit school and went to work. Got married a couple years later, and didn't go back to school until my kids were probably about 7 or 8, and then I didn't graduate. I got a degree in business and management from the University of Redlands. And then went and got a certificate in land use planning, which kind of backs up my day job. I always tell people I'm not a biologist, but I play one at work. I've taken some master's classes over the years, but never finished. But it's one of those things I always tell people: it's never too late to start. You can start now; it's even better. But if you don't, that's okay too. You have options, and like Denzel said, your life gets pulls you in a bunch of different directions. I wanted to be a chiropractor. And that just wasn't in the cards for me at the time. So, being in management and working with people and inspiring people seemed a much better option for me. So, I don't really use my day job too much in what I do. I think I have a little bit of an edge because I do in government regulations in some ways, but that's more on the operations side, not on the policy side. So I have to put a different hat on when I come and sit in this room. Thank you.
I want to tell you thank you for being here. You guys have a bright future ahead of you. Congratulations. You're done with high school. The world is now yours. We hope that as you go forward, that you'll come and draw on the resources from the city, because we're here to serve you. And hopefully you've learned something. And like I said, let us know what you did. So thank you all for being here, and best of luck with the rest of your lives.
I didn't know what to expect when I came here. I've been always looking for a place where I can come and voice my opinion and really, make change as a high school student.
The best part about today was just going around, learning different things that actually happen in here, and definitely There's so many different things that I didn't know went on. It's been a great experience, great opportunity to learn all the inner workings and infrastructure of Corona. I think one thing that they should know about the city is that how caring they actually are, and how caring like you guys want the society to benefit from the whole, and as well as like the service that you want to put forth towards others. And I mean, you want the best for the community and everything, and that's awesome.